Hi everyone, welcome back. Hopefully yesterday went well when you guys were doing your shapes. Today we are going to go over 3 different kinds of lines, and then we are going to talk about some quadrilaterals and the properties that they have. So for starters, we're going to talk about parallel lines. Parallel lines look like this. They're lines that are next to each other but will never touch. So for example, these 2 lines are going this way. Even if they keep going and going and going, these 2 lines are never going to run into each other. Same with these 2. If they go all the way up or they go all the way down, these 2 lines will never touch each other. And then same with these 2. They are going off into either direction, but this one will never touch this one, and this one will never ever touch that one. So a way that I like to remember parallel lines, and I think it might help some of you, is that the word parallel has 2 L's right next to each other. We know that these L's are never going to touch, and they look very similar to the rest of these lines. So they'll just never, ever, ever touch. So that's a good way to think about it. The next set of lines are called perpendicular lines. So perpendicular lines are lines that meet to form right angles. I know that we haven't necessarily talked about right angles, but right angles are when your 2 lines come together to make a perfect L. So, for example, this line meets right here so that this area looks like an L. We put this little box there to represent that that's a right angle, and all of these are perfect L's. So even if you turned your lines this way, again, I could turn the camera as well, probably make you dizzy, but no matter which way we go, it's still going to look like that. It also, another way to think about it is that it makes like a T. So they meet perfectly to form this perfect T, or an upside down one as well. The other way that it might look is like this. It will make a perfect X. That perfect X makes L's, or right angles. So all of these, no matter which way you tilt your head, they're all going to make right angles. The third set of lines that we are going to talk about are called intersecting lines. So intersecting lines are 2 lines that share one point, but they don't have to form right angles. So perpendicular lines, they still touched in one point, but they came out to make these perfect L's, whereas these ones do not. If I try to make an L here, it's going to be more of a bend. It's not going to be perfectly straight. You can see that the angle here is much bigger than the angle here, whereas all 4 of these are all equal. Again, these 2 sides are much bigger, and then these ones are much smaller. Again, these ones are much bigger, and then these ones are much smaller. So these are called intersecting lines. Intersecting lines do not have to form right angles. Okay, so those are the 3 types of lines. Today on your assignment, you're just going to put the name of each. You'll see a set of lines, so it might look like this, and then you'll just write parallel lines underneath it. Oops, sorry, you can see that. You might see lines like this, and underneath it, you'll just write parallel lines. That's all you have to do for that section. Moving back to quadrilaterals, which is what we talked about yesterday. Again, quadrilaterals are shapes that have 4 sides and 4 angles. So there are 6 types that we are going to talk about. Yesterday we did not talk about what is written in blue, but today we are going to do that. So we're going to get more involved with the properties. So, types of quadrilaterals. So the first one we have is a square. A square has 4 right angles and 4 congruent sides. The word congruent, every time you see it here, I will have written the word equal, because congruent just means equal. So that means that every one of these sides are congruent, or in other words, they are equal. Squares can also be considered a rectangle or a rhombus because they have 4 sides and 4 angles. Second one is a rectangle. A rectangle has 4 right angles. So just like we talked about on perpendicular lines, all these right here are called right angles. So they have 4 right angles, and all of the angles are equal. And then the opposite sides are equal. So this line and this line are equal. This one and this one are equal because they're opposite sides. The third set of quadrilateral is called the parallelogram. Parallelograms have 2 pairs of parallel sides or lines. So again, parallel lines are 2 lines that are never ever going to touch. So that's why it's called a parallelogram. Parallel lines, here and here. These lines, no matter which direction they go in, these 2 lines are never going to touch. And then again, these 2 lines, no matter where they go in either direction, they are never ever going to touch. A rhombus. A rhombus is a shape that has 4 congruent, or again, equal sides, and then the opposite angles are equal. So, like a square, all of these sides are congruent or equal to each other. And then this angle are equal. And this one are equal. Don't worry too much about the angles. We're going to go over what angles are Wednesday and Thursday. And then 2 more. You have a kite. So a kite is 2 pairs of congruent or equal sides. So again, these 2 are equal, and then these 2 are equal to each other. But these 2 and these 2 are not the same. And then finally, you have a trapezoid, and a trapezoid is 1 pair of parallel sides. Again, parallel are 2 lines that never, ever, ever are going to touch. So here, your parallel lines are going to go this way. These 2 lines are not considered parallel because they are eventually going to meet and touch, and that is not considered parallel. Parallel is when they never, ever, ever touch. And then just to review, a quadrilateral, remember, is a shape with 4 sides and 4 angles. So I'm going to leave it like this for you. If you need to take notes on each one, I will back it up so you can see all of them. You are going to have a sheet where you will match the names in red to the names in blue. It will look a little different than this, but the definitions will be pretty consistent. If you have any questions, please let us know. Other than that, I will see you back here tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.